I think everybody's here, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And first item up is approval of the agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Did you want to amend the agenda? Or you can do it under reports and other business, it's up to you.
We'll just do it under reports and other businesses.
Alright, so we're good then?
Okay, I'll ask the question again. What's the pleasure of the board regarding approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion made. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. On to ethics statement. Getting where I can read this without looking. In accordance with General Statute 18B-201, it's the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearance of conflicts. Does any member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board today? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from any undue participation in the particular matter involved. Alright, citizens' comments. There's no citizens. On the financial report.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. So I sent you guys the December financial report. I really tried to get that out early, and when I went to put that together, I discovered issues with our POS software. So that took me a little bit of time to figure out. And because of those, I am not ready to do January yet because there's still issues. But I sent you the financials. Does anybody have any questions on them? Everything looked okay?
Hey, Jackie, I know I ask this every month about what we're paying to the town, but on the balance sheet, it shows that we owe the town $31,000.
Mm-hmm. That's left over from last year.
What does that mean exactly?
That was the profits from the previous year, that are a liability on the board's balance sheet at year end that I'm working on paying down as we have cash. But generally it takes until almost the end of the year to pay all of that out.
So that includes like the minimum distribution that's required by law?
That does not include the minimum distribution. The minimum distribution hits on the income statement in this part of there's like, it says 40, it's like distribution to the town and it's budgeted at like 40,000. So that's the money out of the current year's budget. So that, the 30,000 that's left is out of the prior year.
So it's only the retained earnings that are paid in arrears, is that right? Okay.
Does that make sense?
So basically, all the profit that we make this year will retire that debt, so we really won't have a whole lot of leftover profit this year to pay down the debt.
Right.
All right, I'm not confused anymore.
All right.
Every time you ask that question, though, I learn something. So
Yeah, I'm saying.
I
keep
keep asking it.
asking,
So are we, at the end of the year, will we be caught up with what we owe the city?
Yes.
I mean, we do get caught up. Okay.
Yes, but it generally takes.
We're not in arrears forever.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, but and I paid some of it down already. I just like, you know, when you purchase the cash register and that's a big chunk, so
Yeah.
it's like then you gotta like build back up and then work on paying that down some more. And I did make the second loan payment because I'm paying that quarterly. I did make that loan payment in January too, so that was like $7,000. So, I mean, it's you know, as the cash is there, try and retire some of that. Is now okay to talk about the software, or should I wait until
It's listed under new business.
new business? Okay, perfect. We'll talk about our issues
I was
with
going to ask
the
about
POS
that.
software shortly.
Okay, great. Any other questions, Jackie, on the financials? All right, that's nothing else to be asked. We'll go on to the consent agenda. What's the pleasure of the board regarding consent agenda? All right, motion made. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. Old business. Continued discussion on proposed remodel of the store. Obviously, we had a really good meeting recently. I'm interested in listening to what people have to say. Let's throw it out on the table and start talking. Anybody got anything you want to say about it?
Well, I may have to eat my words because I like the location better than I thought it would. I don't want to lose this one. But if there's any way that, I still think this should be remodeled or redone first, but presumably we could have two locations, I think it would be to our advantage. But I think this one should be our priority, the first, in town first. But I like the idea of having the second location, I like that location. I like the size of the building, I don't think it's too big, but I don't think it's too small. I like where it is, because of the traffic. The parking is a little iffy because it's pretty crowded pretty quickly, especially in the evening with the Mexican restaurant, because I eat there a lot. And on both sides of their, they're on the corner, and both sides of their corner, it gets full really quickly. So that's the one big concern, is the parking would be a little tight. But
They're gonna be far better than what we got right now.
yeah, that's true. But I do like the location.
I have to admit, I like the location. I think that by having that location, some of the business that we lose for the people who live on the other side of Capitol, Old Liberty, Winston Ridge, all the new communities that are going in on that direction. And I've personally talked to a few of them in Winston Ridge, and they stopped at Wake Forest on their way home from work and stuff because they don't want to come downtown and fight this intersection and stuff and then have to go back out there. And most of them complain more about the why, if they're coming from Winston Ridge going that direction. Everybody hates that. So when I look at it, I think it would be advantageous to us to have two stores and to go ahead with that store and as we move forward with this one. And the only reason I say that is because if we have that store up and running, and as we're doing our remodel or rebuild or whatever we're going to do at this location, because I do think we need to keep this location for everybody on this side and coming up. But should something happen during the remodel process that, lines are cut up, dug, water's off, whatever, we can't operate for any reason, we still have that location that we can continue services out of, and just as soon as this is back open, then we can, and it would limit us on the loss of customers and stuff during that time as well. Plus, right now, we only have Mexican restaurant that we do with the mixers and stuff. So being able to have all that stuff stored there, it's readily available for them, and plus it frees up room for Lori in this location right now, because she wouldn't have to store all that stuff. It would be right there next to the Mexican restaurant and the register.
Yeah, I feel the food line location from a sales and profit standpoint is just gonna be better, but I think that appraisal came back, and I'll let Rick speak to that, a lot better than we thought, so I don't know that we have, I'll let him say that, but I think, we have to do one or the other right away, right? Probably, so, but I think from a sales and profit standpoint, the food line is the better of the two, but I think we have the opportunity to get this done, we get it done.
I would agree with you from the sales standpoint, but from the profit standpoint, I don't know, just based upon the $50,000 in rent we'd be paying a year, and then also if you amortize the $150,000 you have to pay up front for the upfit, I think you have to consider that as well. I mean, before you'd actually end up from a profit standpoint.
I think from a 10-year lease standpoint, we would be good. I think the sales would be
So
significant.
do you think that our sales, because in my opinion, your sales have got to almost double. You open 2 stores, your sales have got to double. So is that there? Is that possibility of doubling sales there?
As in like the new store having double what the other store, so it'd be
Well,
like
if
tripling?
if you're opening 2 stores, you've still got to maintain the current store, which the current store is profitable, right? But then you're opening a second store that's not that far away from the first store, and you need the sales at that second store to at least be what they are at the first store. So your total sales have to at least doubled in order to break even, cause you're gonna have the $50,000 worth of rent that you're not paying at the current store. So if you were paying $50,000 right now, then you would pretty much be breaking even at the end of the year. So you're gonna have to add more personnel, probably if Hope can do it, if she can manage both stores, then you've gotta have 2 strong assistant managers, which means you're paying another set of benefits, and then you've gotta have more hourly people. And then you've also gotta pay rent out of that second store, insurance, all of your utilities, everything. So your sales, from what they are right now, need to at least double if you're gonna open that second store.
With the growth that's going on around us, and especially in that direction, I think it's possible, but is there anybody that you know that's doing a market research for retail in this area that could tell us? I mean, you've got a better handle on that sort of thing with your sheets than we would maybe. Has anybody done a market research on what's happening?
I mean, we looked at building a location on Purnell Road across from Harris Teeter that's probably 2 miles from
Where
our
you are
current
now.
one. And we felt it could be maintained. We
Okay.
feel it would be, same deal, we feel like we're gonna lose stuff from this location.
Right.
But we feel it's gonna be enough, and I just feel, I think if anything, this one in town is going to lose sales, but I would think that one out on one would be at least 1.5 times to 2 times what we're selling out of this store. You have more space, you have more, a lot more traffic, but I don't know that it's even worth really talking about those options with what we could do, so I think Rick,
Yeah.
maybe turn it over to.
Let me just
his
ask one
thought
question while
process.
we're talking,
Yeah.
and I wanna get to you, but while we're talking about 2 stores, I just wanna ask you, if we had a store up there, let's say we made this one down here, more of a, I don't wanna say a drive-through, just a
Or a
small.
satellite?
Like a satellite. Do you think you could draw business from Franklinton and from Wake Forest by being up there?
What do you mean being up there?
People who would
Up
normally,
there,
instead of
food line?
coming into town, yeah, up to the food line, when they're coming home at night, instead of stopping in Wake Forest or going to Franklinton and stopping, instead of coming into Youngstown. And we're not getting now. Do you think you could get those if we were at that shopping center?
I don't know, if they're already not stopping there, I don't think.
But if we, I'm
Unless they
just
live-
wondering, do you think there would be enough interest in people, because a lot of people stop at that food line
Yes, they do.
on the way home from work, instead of making 2 stops at the ABC store in Wake Forest and then a food line to get their groceries or wherever, they can make 1 stop in Youngsville, spend money at our food line, spend money at our ABC store,
I mean,
That's what I.
and go to McDonald's
Yeah.
or eat in Mexico
Or Taco Bell.
or Taco Bell, try to cover everybody.
we pull a lot of people in because of customer service.
Right.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, can we, step up our customer service, make sure that.
Well, our customer service is
Let me
pretty
tell
good,
you,
cause
customer
we
service
already,
needs to-
You need to go up to the Franklinton store.
Yeah.
that's what.
You'll shut up about our customer service because they have absolutely.
We're still pulling in Franklin's.
Delete,
I
delete.
was
Yeah.
I have to agree.
absolutely. I was in that store for 10 minutes before anybody even spoke to me, and I mean, I did it on purpose just to see. I could not believe they just stood up there. One went right by me, out stood in front of the door, and with the door propped open, smoking a cigarette.
And I'll be honest with you, I've gone into
Yeah.
several stores, as I mentioned in here, asking for a $60 bottle of liquor, and they treat me really bad, and they're rude to me.
They're rude to me till they found out a few weeks ago who I was. Only one person there knew who I was, and we just kinda stole her, one of the employees very recently. So.
Well,
I
I
could
don't
believe
know.
it.
But-
To that, we have people just last week
Yeah.
coming in still saying they won't go up there no more because of the way they act. So they're driving all the way from Franklinton to Youngsville.
But that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Where you think you can increase sales and make, what I saw, and I'll just give you my point of view before we go in.
Well,
Is
I don't wanna cut you off,
No.
but before all this was going on, I mean, we were polling our customers, especially our regulars,
Mhm.
how they would, I know 2 locations would be, I think, ideal, but the customers that do come into our store that have been long-time customers and everything else, they said that they would just stop at Mike Larson, that they would not gonna deal with going down there, going out, doing a U-turn, coming back up Holden, or going through that Y.
But if they had their same location.
They would be, they said that, yes, and
But
one
can-
guy said he was gonna come to a meeting because he was so mad about it if we could, but I don't see him, so.
Well, that's what I was, what I saw when I went in and what I was thinking when I left there is that be our major master store or whatever you wanna call it, and then have a satellite store down here. If we were to do something that was,
I would still be able to carry at least what we have, if not more. I mean, I would just, what would save me is if that other store is handling the mixed beverage.
right,
That
that's
would-
gonna save you a lot of room
I
right
wouldn't
there.
have to have as big a store if we built a new one or whatever we're gonna do, and we did our entrance and exit. Like we all talked about before, that would be.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at getting customer feedback or hearing from your people, the people you really don't wanna hear from are your regulars, cause you have that customer. So you're trying to figure out why people are going somewhere else, why people aren't picking you, and I can tell you 2 out of the last 3 times I was in your store, and it's not when you're assistant manager or you were in there. I've gone through 2 out of 3 times without anybody saying a word to me. That is through the checkout process. Not even how much it was, they took my card, swiped it, and I purposely
Really?
tried to keep my mouth shut, just to see, are they gonna say anything other than me saying, how much is it, thank you, how you doing? Didn't get greeted, didn't get anything, so it might be a different experience that you're not seeing when you guys aren't in the building, and that happens all the time in management, in retail how do you manage a business when you're not there? So, what's the feedback from the people, when you get feedback from your regulars, they obviously love you, they obviously like what you're doing, you have their product, you
Yeah,
know
I'm
them.
sure.
It's, what about the other people that aren't coming here, that's how we have to figure out, how do we get them here? How do we why are people not visiting as often that aren't regulars? So I think, looking at that, I think you gotta kind of think from that perspective a little bit, but I definitely, in the customer service industry, just think some of your, especially a guy that's in there,
It's not very friendly.
we'll go through without saying a word to me, and,
I appreciate that because I don't know unless somebody,
and I love your rack by the exit door.
Thank you.
And I'm looking at it while he's checking me out, and I'm thinking, wonder if he's gonna say to me, you want me to hang on? Like, he sees me shopping, like,
Yeah.
do you want anything? And he checked me out, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I won't get anything. So, just a few opportunities with that, and he's usually the guy I see when I'm in there, so I hate to pick on one person, but, from a
that's
but if that's
yeah.
who a lot of your second shift customer is seeing, then that's their experience.
Right, and
Probably a very different
I don't want
experience.
them walking up in there and feeling like they walked into Franklinton.
Yes.
And I've tried to make a point, I put a little note over there in our bourbon section.
Mhm.
When I have the time and when we get to the system thing, I'm hoping that that's gonna change, I'll have more time to do some more stuff. I'm gonna rearrange everything in there, but right now in our bourbon, I got a little note over there letting people know, cause in case I'm not there and nobody points it out, that we do have more bourbons as you exit the store. So, but I try to point that out to anybody I see coming in there,
So I have a
But I appreciate you letting me know
Yeah, no
about
problem.
that, and try to take care of that.
Todd, when Sheets is looking at where to put a store, do they worry about which side of the road it's on?
Yeah, I mean, an ideal would be the far right corner from the heaviest traffic flow. And our real estate guys will sit in an intersection and count every car that comes in every direction and which way they go, during all different day parts. So that is a lot of feedback, a lot of stuff that we get. So I would assume our busiest is, I think we're good in the mornings, but your evening traffic is coming into town, which that's a difficult in and out. Like, ideally, Speedway probably has the best spot on that corner as far as easy in, easy out traffic. So that's something you want to.
Burnt Barrel.
Yeah, Burnt Barrel actually, that would be the right. So you're right in, right out. It's easy to get in and out. So yes, we would look at that.
And then my other comment on Food Line, just like from a personal preference. So the one in Wake Forest doesn't have a store. I mean, there's Walmart, but who wants to go to Walmart?
Exactly.
And I think that the quality of food that you could get at the Food Line in Youngsville is going to be different than the quality of food that you're going to get at the Food Lion and Franklinton, just like selection. I mean, think about Walmart in Lewisburg. Like, we shop at Walmart in Lewisburg or the Walmart in Wake Forest. And I always try and push my husband to Wake Forest because of the class of people that are there. That's the product that they carry. And so I think, like, when somebody's trying to stop on their way home, that may be a deciding factor, as well as the ABC store. But just
I mean, and going back to my first time sitting at this table in a different building, we talked about ABC store going up there to the shopping center when we were trying to get a shopping center. And that was the whole thing. Back then it was $450,000 they quoted the town to do it. Do you remember, Emily, it was about 450, wasn't it?
I think so.
Something, and we were like, there's no way in the world to be able to pay for that at the time. But we wanted to get out there because of the fact that we were, you know, right in, right out, and that's all I could see, because I was coming from, you know, Raleigh every night, and I was stopping in Wake Forest because it was easier. Yeah, I'll get back on the road and come home. I wasn't stopping up here. So, I mean, that's just a personal preference, but I mean, I looked at that whole thing. I thought it was a great idea, great location, looked good, high visibility. Like you and I were talking about looking at the sign, you know, putting a sign up there and how we could do something. I think it looked great, but in thinking about it, I feel like we still need to keep this store.
Absolutely.
You know, and if we did something, and I want to hear what you have to say about appraisal stuff, but if we did something where we even sold the property and got a smaller part, you know, smaller location over here where we could keep stuff to keep your regulars that come in there happy. And then
Well,
use the other one as a
I think
major
we
growth.
give customers too, though.
Right. But it would be a store I would see that does not, is maybe not as big as what we have, but not cost us as much to operate as this one down here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would not need something as big as what would be Food Lion if they're doing the next beverage.
Right. See, that sort of thing, that's what I see as something that would look good. And I think it would also appease to the town board that you put something on that corner that really looks nice. You know, it would improve that intersection, because my biggest fear is when that circle comes in there, it's gonna change that building immensely, and it's gonna change the ability to get in and out of there.
We'd be farther back.
Right. But if we get farther back and something nice, I mean, I think that's one reason why we were talking about Jim Moss wanting to come. I think he's got that property behind for sale. He's probably thinking the same thing. If he sells that to somebody that wants to buy the whole thing and do something really nice. So, I mean, that's just my 2 cents on it. But
Yeah, I think a smaller store farther back, I mean, I think you could do a smaller store farther back.
it would look nice. I think it would look nice. Kinda
I don't know,
going-
and hang on to the rest of it, sell out the rest
The
of it.
boutique
later or
store,
something.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, something like that. But what, obviously you've got some thoughts, I know, because we talked about it.
Yeah, well, I think from a feasibility study standpoint that I shared with all y'all, I think we made a pretty good case that we could support 2 locations. I feel like that we probably need to, we don't have any money, we don't have any capital. So the idea of doing something now, rather than waiting until we get that land paid off, we probably ought to go on and work through with these developers. If that's the direction that the board says we ought to pursue, is work with these developers, possibly sell the property that we have, with a lease back provision. And I'd love to be able to negotiate a lease rate that's in the appraisal. That'd be very affordable, $10 a foot. And, go ahead and take the cash proceeds from the sale of the building, invest it in, the place up there to where we wouldn't have any debt. We would be able to wipe our debt clean. But now, what you'd have, instead of a debt payment, you have 2 lease payments. So that's the thing that we really need to weigh out. But if I was to make a suggestion with the, if we're going to the Food Lion, we probably ought to sell what we got. I mean, there's enough equity in the appraisal that we could probably get a bank to loan us some money to unfit that store up there. So you'd have to weigh out your debt payments down here in Youngsville, against the lease. So we can certainly come back with a full recommendation with ample analysis to where we can make a more informed decision. But I think what Todd and Phil and I need to hear from the board is which direction you wanna go in. It sounds like we wanna go to the food line, so if that's a motion that somebody wants to make, then we'll know better when we meet with these developers how to maneuver through these conversations.
And go ahead.
Oh, my question was, okay, so, and then I read all that stuff wrong. Food line, okay, you're leasing out 10 years. Alright, we kept a second store, purchased the land, I mean, that will be paid for. And anything ongoing once that's paid for is more profit, I mean, instead of, you know,
But we'd have to build a new store, so we'd have an expense there. You know, and that's where we would sell it and let somebody build it for us, is what we're talking about. So, I mean, I
You got 10 years worth of lease or 10 years worth of loan payments.
that's right.
And I think the loan payments on new buildings would be more than the lease payments at the food line.
Yeah, I think so too.
But at the end of that 10 years, you own the building.
yeah, that was what I was talking
Well,
about.
the thing that Sam raises that's prudent for anybody in business, 10 years from now, we don't know what that food line location's gonna look like. 10 years from now, we don't know what this location here in town's gonna look like. 10 years from now, they may have a Walmart and everything else up there at the Sheets, and that's where we really wanna be. So, at least by leasing, you have that flexibility to move as the market moves. It doesn't mean you can't build it 10 years from now, don't get me wrong.
Plus, the other thing is tax base for the town.
That's
If they build something new here, tax base the town's growing. So that's why I look at that side of it as well.
What about tax advantage? Does either one of them, which one of them would give us a better break as far as taxes? Does one of them help us?
We don't pay
taxes?
taxes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
right now, we're not paying taxes on the building.
Okay,
So if someone else owned it,
Then
someone
they
else's
have,
tax
yeah,
burden.
so
Okay.
if somebody else owns the property, a developer, whatever owns the property, then the town charges them
a
tax.
tax, okay.
And so they pay the town, so it does bring more money into the town because it increases the tax.
Plus, they also bring more stores if they
Right.
build more than just the ABC store on that property.
That's what I'd like to see.
In that way, you even bring in more sales tax dollars. So,
But I can share with you my experience in working on the Cramerton ABC board, where we had the store right beside the food line. Most people plan their liquor purchase along the same time that they go to the grocery store, because you all the time see people walk into the liquor store with a food line bag.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it at the Franklin, same thing.
yeah.
I talked to the people at Franklinton, and they told me when I was doing the feasibility study that about 60% of their business is people that don't live in Franklinton. They're driving up and down US 1 and they're stopping at the food line to get ice, and they go in there to get their liquor.
I know a lot of people would stop up there on the way to Lake with the boat, because they can get their boat into that parking lot, can't get it in down here.
From the sounds of it all, do you feel confident that we would be able to perform better than that one as well, where we would take that business?
I think so personally, because I would wanna see a new premier store there, and I would want people to feel at home when they come in to see us and become those regulars that you have now down here that wanna go here no matter what. I think you can build those up there if you build that customer relationship, you know, with them, and kind of be, you know, have everything there. You have more room to put out stuff. I know it's nice to walk in that one in Wake Forest. It's nice, light, bright and airy. And I have to admit, they did offer to help me when I went in. I offered my wife, and she spent too much money. But, but it was kind of nice to be able to walk in there and have that open, airy look and feel new. And I was ready to spend money. I don't know what it was about it.
So if we move to Food Line and look at hiring a developer, do you close the downtown location immediately, or do you close it once construction starts? When does that occur?
Based on my experience, if a developer were to buy that corner today, by the time they got plans, permits, and everything approved, it'd be at least a year before they could even start pushing dirt. And we would hopefully be able to negotiate with them that however they develop that site, that they could allow us to stay in the present location until they're ready to open. And then we could have that option to move into one of those spaces, and then they could tear the building down.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, if we're gonna open 2 locations and then
Yeah.
you're gonna close one while they build that, then you gotta get rid of staff that you've just booked
Right.
up. So just like, that's,
It'd be a period of time, I would say.
That's a good question.
Yeah, but I would see it as a period of time. I don't think if y'all negotiate something with somebody to come in there, they're not gonna start right away. You know, they're not gonna come to the table with a plan already in place and ready to break ground the next day. So, you know, and it also, it keys in, if this property behind sale as well, and somebody puts something even bigger right down there on the corner, which is a possibility.
I would hope that as we're meeting with these developers, we could put in a time frame that we would ask them to close on our property within 60 or 90 days. Because we're gonna have to act up there, we're gonna take the risk of us losing that space.
And you're gonna lose.
So, sorry, just one of the complicating factors that we just need to consider is the utility allocation. There's a process that you have to go through. It takes probably a week. I would say it depends. I mean, the utility allocation committee or the utility advisory committee on the county level meets once every 6 months. They can do special meetings. I mean, I would get with the county's utilities director, Chris Doherty, and then we may have a special called meeting or something like that. But that's just
What does that relate to?
getting water and
Water,
sewer
sewer,
service
and-
on a new building. You know, we would.
even though there's already water and sewer there, you
Yeah, I was
Right.
saying, the lines
Well,
working
no,
there.
you're talking about if we tear down here.
No, I think if we made a new building, you know, and crush the old building, the consumption of both water and sewer service would be such that it would require a new allocation, because you're going to have new units and you're subdividing and so there's just a process there. Now, because it's commercial in nature, not residential in nature, I think it would be fine. There wouldn't be an issue because they've got kind of a larger quantity of water resources reserved for commercial activity as opposed to residential. But you know, again, just one thing that might take another 3 months just to get the utility allocation. And a developer is going to be, if I was a developer, I'd be reticent to certainly break ground or get too far into the planning process before I knew that I had that allocation. So.
Well, given that, at least if we had a contract,
Mm-hmm.
we could possibly borrow some money with that being our source of repayment. So I think we can work around.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah, I don't think that's a deal killer. I just something I wanted to throw on the table
Yeah.
while I was thinking about it.
I would also say that I would like to see some kind of line of credit with bank so that as we're purchasing more inventory and purchasing new things for the store, you can buy said things. Because I think that you're gonna have a large cash outlay and you're not gonna see the sales immediately.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna take a
so,
while for us to start.
there's gotta be, we need some kind of cash to work with. Probably
Yeah,
that.
I know the Cramerton board had a $250,000 line when they had one location, and they increased it to $350 when they had added the second new store. But when they opened that first store with the 250 line, they paid all their inventory off in that first 3 years, and I sort of feel like we can do that up there too. But you're right, I mean, we do need a lot of credit. If we're able to sell the property for what the appraisal is, we would have enough net proceeds to be able to pay for all the upfit expenses and have some working capital.
Yeah, I guess the question is how much, because if you've still got 2 stores going, I think it's gonna take a little bit before your sales completely double go up, and you're still gonna have to fill inventory for 2 stores, and so I just worry that would get tight.
Yeah, once we know the direction that the board wants to go in, we can put a business plan together.
I do think if we open a food line before we rebuild this one is really probably gonna struggle for this, so we can use it
Until
later.
the new
Yeah.
store's in place, I agree with that. So what I'm reading here from everybody we're going towards 2 stores. So, we're gonna need to get the information from the 3 of y'all about the developers before we can make that decision. So, why don't I ask today for a motion for you 3 to go ahead and pursue that? I know you're already doing it, but let's get it together, and that way we can kind of get things moving. That gives us all the information we need. I mean, y'all agree?
Yeah, if you guys would've said today, we're just not interested in going to the food line, that might change how we handle our next meeting with the developers, and I think you're right.
I think that the growth of the community, you know, I was looking at something the other day, and I've been serving this community now for 27 years, nonstop, in some capacity or another. And just what I've seen in that period of time, how it's grown from when I got here at about 580 some people to where it is now, and just what's in the outlying community is incredible to me, and I see it coming, it's coming. And you're probably seeing it as much as anybody as you go out there and telling people looking for houses. And I have to admit, I look myself at houses just to see what's going on, because that gives me an indication of what's going on. And I know y'all look at stuff and you're growing everywhere. So it's a matter of, I think it's time to consider the 2 stores, definitely. And I think that's the goal.
Do you already have investors that have, like, put up a flag and said, yes, we are interested? You
We've
do?
got meetings scheduled.
We have 2 meetings scheduled on February 24th, which is
Okay.
a Monday.
Okay, because
Okay.
my niece, who works in the IT industry, has a lot of connections. I was telling Sam this, and she said she has some people she thinks that out of Raleigh who might be interested. Do you want me to give you their, or give you your, like, take some of your business cards to have her give to them, or do you want me, or are we comfortable where we are now with investors? Do you want to entertain anybody else?
You want them to call you, Phil, or?
Yeah, I can give you a card and you can
Okay.
hand it over. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly don't think we should turn anyone down. I mean, the
Okay.
more offers you
Okay.
have, the better the more choices you have. So,
Yes, what I was
yeah.
thinking, all right. But
Big
she
words are always
said,
nice.
she said she thought she had several different investors
Sure.
that she thought might be interested in working out here, so.
That'd be great.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
I guess we don't need a motion because we probably already, you know, asked you to do
Yeah,
that.
you created the
so-
subcommittee for the purpose
Exactly.
of
So
exploring these options.
let's just
so
continue on with
giving-
that.
Giving
and-
them more direction is always a good thing.
Right. I think the meeting we had is open everybody's eyes a little bit
Definitely.
to at least move forward with an idea. And we may, after y'all's findings, we may say, oh, this is crazy, let's just build down here. We may decide to do that, so let's get that information. And so you're meeting the 24th, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we should have something for the next meeting to
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Okay.
consider that. All right. Is there any more discussion we need to do about the store? Okay, well, we'll move on then to resolution to enter into an agreement with the North Carolina Local Government Employees Retirement System to provide death benefits. Obviously, you're asking for a table for 1 month.
I actually, it gets this worse. So I finally got back with Susan at Ledger's, and she said the reason it took her so long was she was trying to get a date for the board to hear the original application. So they haven't even approved, this was something me and Jackie have been having problems with, they haven't even approved our original application for regular retirement. They are looking at going to hearing applications once a year, and it will possibly be July. She's trying to find more information, but they won't even have the ability to have their retirement until July.
Are we collecting? Okay.
So
No, we were-
as long as you're not
yeah.
collecting at this
Yeah.
point, that's good.
Yeah.
Since they won't become members until later in the year, the actuaries for the death benefit have not been front and center for them. That's why that's also taken so long to get those numbers back. They just haven't rushed it since the other application hadn't been approved, and they had not told me that. She was trying to get more information. That's why she hadn't returned my calls, or that's what she said. So she said it would probably be July, so we can either continue to do this monthly and hope we hear before that, or we can just table it until July or June, till we get more information. But they're going, she said they're looking at going to hearing applications only once a year.
I'd say table it till July, and if something comes up, you just put it up before the board. So, I mean, what do y'all think? You agree?
Yeah.
There's no need to keep
Okay.
putting it on there if nothing's
You're wasting
happening.
your ink.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'm happy she finally got back in touch with me because I was about to get somebody else from Phil and just see if I couldn't hunt somebody down with an answer, but, yeah, so July I think would be great.
All right,
Thank you.
in that case, I ask for a motion to table till July. Motion made, second. Second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. New business, discussion on estimate for Youngsville ABC signs.
Hey Phil, would it be possible to put it up on TV?
Yeah.
Parks Blackwelder with BB Vinyl, he has done signs for the bank all over our footprint, and I've always been really pleased not only with his designs, but his level of service. So I asked him to take our logo, and Jackie, you know I kept asking for a PDF.
Yes.
For whatever reason, he couldn't use the JPEG
Oh.
file that we sent, he couldn't blow it up big enough. So he actually went in and designed it himself to try to get as close.
Is that the logo that's on this thing? The agenda, I'm sorry.
It's very
It
close.
pixelates when you try to blow it up.
Yeah, you
to a
turn it
point
into
where
a
you
vector.
can't read, see.
I think it's, because we got it from the Alcon and not.
So I asked him not only to design it, give us an estimate to come in and install them, but he also overlaid them on a picture of the building so you guys could have a better understanding of what it'll look like once it's installed.
Yeah, let's see, so.
I'm not real fond of it covering that whole window.
I
Well,
don't
that
think
window-
you can cover the whole window. I think your ordinance will only allow you to cover up to 50%, so you
that-
won't be able
yeah,
to.
That window that's covered though
Yeah.
has the shelves blocking the window anyway.
Oh, okay.
So that's that side window.
So are we in
talking about
violation
the
of
old-
that?
The window that goes out towards Holden Road.
Oh, okay, yeah, do I need to move those shelves?
No, no.
Yeah, so are we in violation there?
No, it's just the signs, the shelving really doesn't, but the reason the signs don't cover more than 50% is a safety issue, the police can see into the
That's what I was
Did you
thinking,
email it,
yeah,
Rick?
that's the security issue that
Mhm.
you can see in and out.
Did Rick email it?
That's why,
Emily sent it out.
It should be in
couldn't see it.
your agenda
Yeah,
packet
it was-
as well.
I saw it. I gotta get closer, cause I don't bring my glasses.
Well, I'll blow it up too.
Get out in the truck, but.
Yes, bunch of the tornado warnings.
Yeah.
It would have been Wednesday morning,
Yeah, we
I'll go ahead
looked
and tell you
at it.
that, Wednesday morning,
Okay.
around 9ish.
yeah, it's there.
February 5th.
Okay, Wednesday.
Give me a 42.
Yeah, if you could forward it, that'd probably be easiest.
February.
Right there.
There's no attachment to this one.
Oh, did it not?
Was it a response to this?
No,
Attachment,
it
let's
must
see.
be.
This is what I don't like about you.
February
Right,
4th.
right there.
There we go.
Okay.
It's on the 4th. You were a day late. Or a day off. Here we go. Perfect.
I had 2 agendas to do that day, so it's
No,
a little
you're good.
confusing,
You're
sorry.
good.
It's not in that one. It's in the following day.
Got it.
My son-in-law,
Did you just send it, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
grandmother's
just-
house on Tower One, when one of the houses
Pop to the
had
top.
trees, demolished their house.
Our office had trees all over it.
She just lost her husband.
Hey, Emily, when we were working with the town on the building across the street, we were dealing with the percentage coverage on the windows, because out there at the front's where our breaker was, we wanted to try to put a film on there. And I think it's 50% of.
They just
all
adopted
windows.
a new
A
zoning
new one?
ordinance,
Okay.
last
Alright.
month, so, I was talking to Aaron just to double check. The sign for the hours and things, there's no charge for those, you would still just have to fill it out to make sure you're within your, coverage, but there's no charge for the hours. And then, it's depending, I think, on the size for the window sign, how much that costs. Now, government signs are free, so we're not sure if that would be government or considered retail, so we're trying to see if we can work it to
I'm
government to
trying
be free.
to save them.
If we can get away with that, but,
I was thinking.
Oh, you did that all at one thing?
Yeah, because I'm assuming we want to open them all anyway. I mean,
Can you
we're,
open them
we're,
from
We're
there?
gonna have to do one by one.
it's saving them, it's downloading them, but, I really don't
Are they
wanna-
big, Rick?
No, they're not, one of them's at 1 meg. That shouldn't be that
That's
big.
not that big.
The others are small.
I mean, I could end task it.
When you do that, you go,
Well, I mean,
oh,
end it, but I don't know if that's, we'll see. Start again.
Gotta go bifocals, come on, welcome to the real world. But I
Takes
find
about a
myself
week to
doing
get
more
used to the
overtime.
bifocals when you're walking.
So,
yeah.
walk one at a time.
Especially when you go to step down.
I walked out of that store that day and felt like it. This is what happens when you wear the little drunk goggles.
The guy
And
walked
it was
out,
like I couldn't. I mean, it was really weird. It's like okay.
the guy actually walked me out and helped me into the car.
No, but I got a cataract, it's gotta be fixed, 'cause I'm having trouble not seeing at
That
night.
looks good.
I'm not
Yeah, I like
comfortable, yeah, I'm not as comfortable, and it's,
My main goal for
see, that
the
looks
front of the
good.
building is to be able for police to ride by and look in.
Of course,
That was me the main thing I want. So the ones that had, there was one that had a white background, if I remember right, and I didn't like that as much.
I like that.
You don't like that, is it this one right here?
I can't remember which one, it's not that one. There's one that had 2 on it.
Yeah, that's on the side of the building.
yeah, I think that's the one's on the side that looks,
Oh, there's a lot of people.
Yeah,
that-
that
I
is
don't
good.
like that one.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't either. That's too
No,
big.
I like that.
You like that
I
one?
know, I mean, if it's smaller,
Small,
yeah.
yeah.
But I'm
So I'm
just saying, I
assuming
like
this
the
one would be the
design.
style that's,
Oh, but not the white background, I like the
it's,
clear one.
it's
Yeah,
translucent,
but that's
it's not opaque,
You've got the,
I would imagine.
you can't see in anyway, so that's
Yeah.
gonna
Oh,
stand
okay,
out
I
against
got
that
you,
black
okay.
backdrop.
That's on that
Yeah,
side, I got
right.
you, okay.
Yeah,
And then you could put that in the window, but I like the one to the right as opposed to the one to the left. You know what I'm saying? In the front, so you can actually see through with a black.
I do too.
Okay, so that was not really a black background, that's just clear.
clear,
Okay,
it's
I
like
got
that.
you, I got you. Yeah, I like that one right there.
Yeah, I like that one.
The blue better than the white.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really?
I think
Yeah.
the blue is hard to see.
I do too.
Yeah, I think the white.
Well, there's
stands
signs behind it.
Go
so
to the
that's-
front door.
Is
This
it
one's
this
lettering.
one or this
That
one?
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, let's see. That one or that one?
You're right, the blue one is harder to see.
Yeah. I like the Youngsville showing up and see in the red star showing where we are.
Well,
See, then we could actually put the 21 over to the side.
People don't read them.
They don't read 'em
Do
anyway.
you have to post those?
Plus what?
The 21 and
It's-
21.
Oh, this right here?
It's better if we do, because people say, well, there's no sign out there, even though they don't read it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, if you
Well,
had it
yeah.
over on the side, like you've got where the visa and everything is to the right though.
And definitely
You're at least
advertising
saying-
that has to be a valid ID, because people are trying to show us their Facebook
Could he
profiles
do
and
like a
stuff.
vinyl sign on the
gotta be
side where it
kidding.
says that information, maybe?
Serious.
Facebook.
The question
Yeah,
is,
I know.
does this sign prevent anyone that's not 21 from entering anyway?
No.
Probably
No,
not.
uh-uh.
Right.
No, I can
It's
I would
more
get rid of it.
covering us, it's
I
more
can
covering
move
us.
the 21 or whatever sign.
I've just
It's
never,
just-
I don't remember, I don't recall ever seeing that on any other ABC store that I've been into.
They have them on, I don't know what Wake Forest has now, but they have them in Roseville. They have them in Franklinton.
I
I
just,
really think the only thing we need on the front of that building, other than the sign that he's proposing, is the MasterCard logo.
I agree with that.
Everything else ought to just be scraped off, and he's got that included in the
Price.
price.
and if you have to put in information like that, you can do it over to the right on the bottom where it's there, you're protected legally because you've got it on there. If it's a legal
I'll find that out,
requirement.
because we have to post
Mhm.
don't drink while you're pregnant signs and all this other stuff, so.
And then some of that stuff could probably be down and low on the windows.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I
You
can
know.
make it small, and even if they redid our signs in clear, where it's clear background with just the
It
words.
would all
it
be
would-
the same
yeah.
thing, that's the thing.
That first one there is the side of the building,
This 38 by 70.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. So
And then
that's this one right
Yeah.
here, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know how it splits between.
Yeah, but you have to do
those
this.
window panels, the one on the left is 35 7/8 wide, and the one on the right is 36 inches. I went out there and measured it one time.
Yeah.
Do you ever think anything in this town has been set the same, it's custom.
I don't think the
everything.
R should straddle the,
Mm-mm.
I would maybe
Like
just,
you
you know,
should
move it to
put
the
it-
left a little,
yeah.
yeah, so you could read it.
Well, see, and I think he could do that. I
Yeah,
think he just
yeah.
took that image and dropped it
Yeah,
in.
Yeah. Oh,
But you're saying that you like the white background on it?
no, we don't.
Well, the thing
Well,
about the
on
white,
that one,
the intention of putting a white background on that is, it shows up better, plus it hides that
Brooks
cabinet.
This thing right here.
And do
That's-
we
that's
get
the
rid of
open
the big
sign.
sign?
Oh, got it. Yeah, it's hard to see.
Should we get rid of the big, like, letters at
But
the top of
that's
the
too-
building?
That's too big right now for in comparison for the ordinance right now, right?
If it was clear, like the front door signs, you could get away with having something that big because you would have all that open space in between.
Okay.
You could probably get, if it was more open, but if it's solid like that, it would have to go a little bit
but
smaller.
that's not an open window. You can't see in the store in that window.
That's not what they look at though. They look at the actual glass size, the size of the window in and of itself,
What if it's on the inside of the window?
same.
Same?
But they've had to
That
get
is
on
where you
people
put
that
the
have
window on the inside,
put
you
in
do the
some
reverse
like
print.
sales.
I think that one is intended to be put on the outside.
Cause you don't wanna move the,
Yeah.
but the other one's on the inside, aren't they?
So you're saying that the potential would be to do something like this, but in like this kind of design where the black area here would be clear, like there wouldn't be anything there. Is that right, Emily? Is that what you're saying?
I think you could get away with a bigger sign if you do it that way.
Because there's less opacity percentage.
Right. You have more open, you can meet your open percentage better.
So it,
Rather than it being on the window, does it have, could we not put it on the building?
we could, but it'd be a different type sign.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, a
The-
wall
also
sign
be a
way
lot more
more
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah, see, this is just
Yeah,
the
but I
vinyl that you put on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So Emily, should I have
Look at the front door.
Parks call the town to see for sure how much he can cover that glass? Cause if he can still use that sign, he could probably shrink it to where it only covers 50% of the window.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
that
give you
sign
Erin's card before you leave. She's
Well,
our,
I'll forward this to Erin and ask her to get in touch with this gentleman
Okay.
and copy you on the correspondence if that's
Okay.
what works
Yeah.
for you.
she's more familiar with that new
Yeah.
ordinance than I am, and she was helping me look up some of it.
But if you took that sign right there
Mhm.
and put it on that side.
On the side, right. That's what I think Emily was just saying that would be fine, as far as the ordinance.
Yeah, if you wanted the white background, I think you would just have to shrink it a little bit more, but if you're open like that, I think you can get away with it, having it that size. But then again, it doesn't cover the ugly inside the store, the backs of the, I know that's probably a bad way to phrase it, but it's, the backs of the counters are never, they're never pretty.
And you can put an hour thing down there and eliminate the paper. What's that thing on the lower left?
It was a camera video thing that somebody
Mm.
stuck on
It's like,
something, but.
hello, you're on camera
Decades
kind of
ago?
thing.
Yeah, but it looks like, I mean,
It looks like it needs to
it
go
looks like I'm
on.
gonna have to move those shelves anyway because I see the old business sign and I didn't realize
Right
there was
here.
one over there.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
what
if I'm
that
gonna have
is.
to move those out, I can block those windows with something.
You're allowed
Well,
to do
see,
that.
then you.
I don't think you can though, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause it would be considered an inside sign.
I meant, okay, well, okay, let me ask this. Alright, I got to move those shelves so I can get those other signs off because they're on the inside and I'm not gonna be able to get them. So I'll move them and put them back. But before I put them back, am I allowed to, can I put blinds there?
Oddly enough, yes.
What
Isn't
about,
it, it's
like-
weird.
What
That
about
is
like
strange.
contact paper? Cause like you
Yeah,
can
that's-
use
that's what I was
contact
gonna-
paper
yes,
as
that's what I was
like a frosted glass look.
You can just ask Erin
I was about to
on your
say,
way
yeah,
out.
on your way
And-
out, talk to Erin.
Okay.
That
because
was
I know you
interesting.
can
She's read,
do
she's read all
blinds.
600
Because-
pages of the development ordinance.
But if you
my
put
God.
something
I
on
know,
there,
right?
that contact paper, so that right there would eliminate you
Yeah,
having
well,
to
one
do
of the
that.
reasons the sun coming in there is so strong that we have to be real careful what we put there because it can actually discolor.
Well, I know there were
Yeah,
issues
that's-
with someone wanting to tint the windows, but that was with the old ordinance. I'm not sure about the new one.
Yeah, if,
So honestly, when it comes to tinting
I would-
windows, I'm not 100% sure on that one.
that would be great. If they were actually tinted, that would be.
He can do window tinting also.
So
That would
yeah,
be
check with
fantastic.
Erin on your way out, and
Okay.
if she gets in touch with him, they can go through all that too.
great if you had 10 from the inside.
That looks
Move
good.
shelves.
I like that.
Like that one over that one?
Yeah. I like the blue, but I like that.
I like the blue, it just doesn't show up that.
It looks like a mess where it's the dark on the S-Bill side.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I was looking at. It's more pronounced.
That pops more in.
Yeah, with the
Right.
black trim around the bill.
Now, is he gonna put the black trim around the young? He doesn't have it on there.
It's actually, I don't think there's black trim. I think it's just because it's dark
Oh,
inside.
that's
Oh,
okay.
that might-
And
what
it's
makes
the
the blue
paper.
look
That's
dark,
right, and
yeah.
it's the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think
It's
once you remove these signs, it'll be able to
It
be
did
seen
look
better.
like
Right,
trim,
that's
yeah.
exactly what it
Moving
is.
again?
Yep.
So you imagine that not looking funny on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can only see this because the white sign's there.
Right. That's
Oh,
what I
yeah,
like about it.
that's-
If we moved all
Yeah,
that
it's
over,
clear.
you still
Right.
got a clear view into the store.
Mhm. Yeah, if
Could
I'd
not
known
be-
about that, I could have removed the sign.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, yeah. I like that. It's business hours. Yeah, like I say, I wanna see when somebody drives by, and whether we're here or at the shopping center, it doesn't matter. When the cops drive by or anybody, I wanna be able to see in, see the
Yes.
bottles, see the store, and wanna be able to come in, so.
So if we follow back up with Parks to make some final adjustments, could we authorize Jackie to approve the estimate? I mean, the estimate there is $875. If he has to shrink that size over on the left-hand side, I can't imagine that the bill being more than that.
I mean, but if you want to include some tinting as well, maybe just authorize a purchase order for
No more than
I would say $1,500. I mean, knowing that, because if he's going to tint that whole window, that I don't know how much tint is, but if Lori, you know, if you
Your
need
car
it,
windows tinted cheaper than that.
Yeah,
yeah.
and you can do it illegally.
Well,
Yeah, I think $1,500 would be the thing.
of course, we're going to try and
I
spend
mean,
as little as possible. but-
Right.
I mean, if I will, I might be able to look into the vinyl tinted clean, you know what I'm talking about?
Just put contact.
Well, so
Yeah, that-
the benefit to having the vendor do it is that if it ever goes bad
Yeah.
or starts peeling,
It's on there.
then he'll
It's
come
on
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way you don't.
And he'll have to move the cabinets for you.
Have you ever put that stuff on the window before?
I haven't.
It's
You
hard.
have all air bubbles in it. If you don't know what you're doing,
No, I
it's
have a hard
not.
enough time with that screen on my phone.
Yeah.
so it's not-
Exactly. If you can't do it on your phone, you don't want to be doing that. So, right. So do we need to make a motion to authorize
A maximum
a
of
maximum
$1,500
Yeah.
$1,500 once you get the updated proposal?
for signage and window treatment.
I'll second it out.
No, I'm not making a motion.
I'll make the motion.
You making a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Your second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay, so we'll work with Parks and Jackie, I'll send over the thing and you can approve it.
Okay.
All right. Now let's move on to discussion of the cash register system.
Alright, y'all.
So, as I was closing out December, I pulled a report out of the system that was supposed to show me total sales, right? Total sales for the month of December. I really pulled it because my sales tax number on my balance sheet was negative, and which meant that like I had something categorized wrong or something. Anyway, upon further investigation, the cash register system doubled our sales for December 6th and 7th on their POS software, as well as December 20th and 21st, and then it missed one of the cash registers on the next weekend, so it was short that weekend. So, all of Hope's reports for the end of December all wrong. She paid way too much sales tax because it had doubled, and they were like busy weekends in December, so it had completely doubled all of our sales. And so I got the receipts because I was using the POS system to enter deposits, because
it should have been.
that's the way it should be,
be.
because I could get to the information. I didn't have to wait on the actual receipts from Hope, and I'm like, well, this is why we got a new cash register, so that I could actually see all the numbers in real time, right?
And hopefully
So-
we're the same
We all know you different names.
Um, So anyway, as I was trying to close out December, I was like, something's not matching up. So then I had to go back and go day by day and figure out where my issues were and what was not matching up. And then I sent it all to the POS system people, and they have yet to provide an explanation on why it happened that way. And they forced the numbers in the system to match the numbers that I told them that they should be.
Didn't even check.
And then ask
that
us
happens.
to
And this
double
was-
check the numbers to make sure that they're right before they officially posted them. And so my
They did that before with that first.
yeah, there was
now.
one previously that was like
They did not.
$12 that they couldn't tell us why it was different. This is way more. This is way more than
It made my
$12.
reports wrong, and I had to go back and do those again. But not
Yeah.
only this, I have never dealt with a system that not and I don't have, I don't explain it, but his, that doesn't do live inventory. Never. Okay, so like, if I sell a bottle of Crown Royal, person sits there out the door, that Crown Royal bottle is out, unless we have to refund it for some reason, then you got record that it's been refunded or whatever, and it should add it back to the
Back to
inventory.
inventory.
Okay. Otherwise, once it's paid for and out the door, it doesn't magically reappear on your stock list, especially after you've already
reappeared
had an
on-
inventory. I had Christmas items reappear in January that were sold out in December. They can't explain that.
They did tell Hope Lori over the phone that I was pulling the wrong reports because some people look at them on an iPad and those reports are pulled for them on the iPad, and my point was any report that I pull for any day should be
Should-
the
and it should
exact
apply to our
same
store.
anywhere
That's
that
what
I
they
pull
sold
it.
us. That's what they sold us.
That's what, yeah.
So, in
Um,
my opinion, this software is not, it has cost us way too much time.
I have counted inventory. I get to work early in the morning, as y'all know. I have counted inventory every morning since October 1st, since we got that system in there. And when I get to the end of the inventory, I start over again, and I start over again, because I'm trying to pin down what is going on. I was even watching video. I have double clerks and all that, so nobody's really left alone. I mean, I'm alone in the morning for a while, and the person that opened might be there for a while. So I'm like watching video. You know, there's nothing going, you know, and it's like I have codes that I've never sold appear with inventory. I have steel. I have fifths of absolute fists that are still ringing up as lemonade. Absolute.
Then last Saturday was the first.
Oh my God.
I hope Lori called me to tell me that her sales for this January 31st were not in the system. She could not see them anymore, she could not post them, and she could not update any pricing effective January 1st. So she was, at that time, scared that they were not going to be able to open for Saturday.
We can't open without the price is correct, because that's
So,
the price. Yeah.
They did figure out how to get your sales prices updated. I
Yes.
did not hear, did they ever close out January?
Yeah, they finally got that in, but I didn't tell you what else happened later on that day. Once they got the sales, the price changes up and everything, and I verified them all and everything before I finally got to leave the store that day. About 3-4 o'clock, I get a call from Chris. Hey, such and such is ringing back up at. It was supposed to be $34.95, and it was fine when we left. It was ringing back up at $39.95. So everything that had with the price, it all went right back to as if the price changes never happened. So they had to correct that. They said it was something wrong with their database. But one of the other things I've seen, like when I call them on the phone trying to get them to fix something, like some of these codes that just keep reappearing that we've never carried, which they try to make out like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I don't know what I've carried. I've been doing this for almost 27 years. I know exactly what I've carried all these years. You know, I've never had this and da da da. But anyway, I've watched them going through the register and stuff, doing all these different things. And one example, they brought up a certain product that is it's a special item, one of them rare bourbons. okay, normally a fifth size is 12 to a case, sometimes there'll be 6 to a case. This particular item was only 3 to a case, and it's a fifth size. On whatever they pulled up that I've never been able to access, and they tell me it does not exist, but when they pulled it up, they had it down as half a gallon, and they had it as 6 in there, when it's actually a fifth, which is a completely different size, a completely different tax bracket, and,
Quantity.
yeah, and when I brought that up again on something else that later happened, oh, we don't have anything like that. You're able to access exactly what, I said, no, I would like to get to that screen you guys get to, so I can go through everything in there to see if you guys have the sizes and everything right. We don't have anything like that. Alright, well, my assistant manager had to call about something, okay? Well, they pulled up that same screen, and she caught something on there that was the wrong size and quantity. And he supposedly went back and fixed that, but I had no way to prove that he went back and fixed it. And then, but he told her she was crazy, pretty much. And then Chris,
Can you see this on your computer when they're doing that?
on the register, I can't see it on the computer in the back,
should
on the
video it.
register when they're doing it. But, Chris called about something last week, and he was talking about that same screen. I said, that's the screen I keep telling them that I want access to, but they say doesn't exist. It's,
Anyway,
Well,
yeah, we'll get sidetracked.
when you're them on the phone the next time, have your phone out, and when they pull,
Yeah.
take a picture of
That's
it.
what I had already told assistant manager, but I didn't know that Chris was gonna have issue with something and have to call them. I would've told him to get that picture.
So how does the POS recognize what your inventory is? At one point, did you have to review to them, like, these are the items we carry, here's the price, or how did they
Okay,
get that information?
this was a nightmare to begin with. They downloaded everything that has ever been available in the state of North Carolina. Old codes.
Was that in there just for you? There were-
No,
they're
they
all
download
ABC
everything
stores.
that ever existed.
But for every ABC store,
For
just to run
every
their
ABC
POS
store,
system?
for the whole state of North Carolina, for what the
But are you their only client for this PO, so they
so
have that
they're
information from
supposed
somewhere
to
else?
sell to
Okay.
ABC stores. That's what their
Okay.
client base is gonna be,
Their
ABC
proceeds.
stores in North Carolina.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna skip past that. We have issues. You see that we
Yeah.
have lots of issues.
yeah
So, Hope Lord, has come up with an alternative software.
And honestly, if this company had been in business before, we were having issues with the original vendor because the hardware kept breaking down. And you could not get them to come fix stuff. The only one we could find that did ABC stuff, but they also do other retail companies, was that Dowcom company. In between that time, since October 1st, SGC or SCG or whatever, they
SG
have,
Consulting.
anyway, I have been to Franklinton, and they've had that system for 2 months, and it is perfect. It is exactly what we are looking for. It does real-time inventory. If something goes out that store, it doesn't reappear. The codes are catered to our store. I don't even know how to explain it all because it's
So anyway, we have
It
an
makes sense.
alternative. They can use our current cash registers. They have to update us to Windows 10, which would be a small fee, and then the existing if they can use our current cash registers, which we believe they can, it would be $19.95 per register to get the software. They have a yearly maintenance fee of $4,900 for 2 registers per year, but the promotion is to sign up before April 30th, and the first year's maintenance is free. So there is a cost, and it'd be about $4,000 now. What I will say is I just went back through all the Dowcom invoices, and not the hardware, not looking at the hardware stuff, but like looking at how much we paid for like professional services or credit licensing since we got the machine. It's about $4,700. So the question is, can we go back to Dowcom and get everything back?
Do we have any recourse?
Can we get out? I think we have a very valid reason to get out of whatever, but getting any money back, I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I can try and write a letter. I mean, if we hire an attorney, then we're not.
I think
It's
the
not
letter
gonna be-
would help because, as I was telling Jackie, like doing my research on this other company, besides Franklinton, like I said, their software does what it needs to do. And they've been very happy with it. But I called, Madison ABC board, and I told Jackie, she kept me on the phone for over an hour, venting her frustrations with the same stuff, cause same weird inventory issues over and over again, things not matching. She had, told her about the credit card thing, the credit card was charging the customers, but it wasn't putting the money in her bank. And they only do their financials at the end of the month, so that would have been a nightmare. So anyway, but at the end of the month, where the customers were being charged, but the money wasn't actually going in the bank, they called her up and said, hey, we're gonna have to recharge all your customers because the money wasn't actually taken out, and you're gonna see this lump sum of money go in your bank. Well, then she had to deal with customers that were absolutely just, cause they were overdrawn and everything else. But the inventory thing is a big deal. Just like she had been doing it 28 years, and she said that she'd always gotten good reports for her inventory. And I said that I had too, and I said that's one of the things that's really frustrating, because I have to know what my inventory is. That helps me figure out what product might be getting stolen or anything like that. Plus, it affects my order.
How's the inventory get in the system?
They downloaded it in the system.
Every time you get a shipment.
When you get
runs
shipment.
in.
Oh yeah, in the system you scan it in, but the scanner doesn't work. So then you have to. Some of it will go in, but like I
Some
had
you have to do a hand
60 something codes I had to put in manually myself because they were not.
The question I have is, what are we missing that we don't know about yet?
Right, I have no
I
idea.
mean, where are we
I
losing
have
some
no
money
way
that
of
we don't know
isolation.
about?
So, can you describe on a very high level in just like 2 minutes, the process that you followed when selecting this new software vendor? Can either of you do that? Because what I'm afraid of is that we didn't check references, we didn't go see the customers using it, and we didn't hear that it was a POS product, not point of sale, but piece of, you know what? And we don't need to do that again. So if we're
No,
gonna
that's
if
why
we're gonna go
I-
through
that's
another
why-
software conversion, we need to do it correct.
That's why
this
I'm
time
doing my
around.
research and actually talking to people that are leaving Dalcom to go to this new SGC, whatever it is. I also, Chatham County, ABC also switched over to them and love them. I don't know what Wake County is gonna do. Last I talked to Wake County and told them, I asked them, when I say Wake County, sometimes I call it Roseville store, sometimes the Wake Forest store. The last one I talked to was specifically the Wake Forest store, and I was asking him, I said, look, I said, you guys having inventory issues. And he's like, well, he said, yeah, sometimes. He said,
And they're using the
yeah, he
same
said, who
thing.
you have? And I said, Dalcom. He said, good luck. That's all he said, too.
So the question I asked was, can you summarize the process for me?
When
So-
you chose
When we
Dalcom,
chose them.
how did you choose them?
I called other stores that were using them at the time that,
How did you find out about this company? Did they contact you? Did you contact them?
I researched and trying to find one that catered to ABCs, because we have a specific
How many companies did you find?
one, Dalcom.
Okay.
And other than Carolina Data, who we were trying to leave.
That's
And so
what we
then,
were.
that's why I
So there's only
called.
one other vendor. That was
What I could find. Now, I did email Lori Lee, but she said I emailed her, and she said she could not suggest software vendors. But I went.
so we didn't get multiple quotes. We only dealt with one vendor.
Because that's all I thought there was.
That's all I thought.
I mean,
there
because
was.
you're working with a very specific software.
How many other
and
ABC
it-
stores did we contact?
For
The
the
initial.
Dalcom one, I contacted twice. I contacted Wake County, and I contacted Boone, which was the only other one that I asked the president of Dalcom about, and I called them, and they said they were happy with it. I don't know what their status is now, because the way what we've been through, and Wake County tells me good luck. Now,
So-
I mean, so at the time, they sounded like they were happy with it, but they had just, I don't think they've had it.
I don't want to belabor the point, but I've done software conversions before, and I know you have as well. And we need to be contacting, I would say, at least a dozen other ABC stores. Talk to the ABC store manager.
Mhm.
What software product are you using? What are the good things? What are the bad things? Have you heard of any other software products? What other ABC stores can I talk to? Because the last thing I want is for you to have to go through this again.
Well, that's why I've been going to Franklin specifically and seeing their reports.
But just one store is not enough, is what I'm saying. It's
No,
not. That's
but
my
I
opinion.
did talk to another store, but I can I'll call every one of them that I know of that has that. I mean, because
What software is Wake County using? They go back to Carolina, don't
I don't think so, but I can call them and find out.
So Jackie, have they diagnosed the problem?
No, they haven't told me, they can't tell me.
No, that was one of the things the other manager was saying, that they don't tell you, they can't tell you what's wrong, they just go force the numbers in.
Yeah, they forced all the numbers, and then when I asked for a written,
I've
Hope
emailed her twice
asked
now.
them
Mhm.
to forward, because Hope was talking to them on the phone, and she was like, I need you to write this in writing so that I can explain it to my
Specifically the
finance.
owner's daughter, and she still couldn't.
So I can explain it to my finance officer what happened. And, cause I'm trying to figure out, like, are we hitting the wrong button, are we doing
Well, I was
something wrong? And
concerned
so,
about operator error and possibly
Well,
not putting in the right code.
I don't mean to, I'm not trying, that's the same thing they tried to say about her, and she had them actually come down and do her inventory themselves, and it was still wrong. It was
So,
still wrong,
Where's the
trying
company
to,
located?
Greensboro.
they've been here a few times though, right? So, I have not had any activity with them besides to email them and say, here's what I've done wrong.
I wonder if we're gonna set up an appointment and, meet with them, ask them to come here to the town hall for a meeting.
I think, I mean, honestly, from what I've just discovered, I think they're just gonna tell you a bunch of crap.
And
I
I
mean, that's
hope
what they
asked
keep
them
doing.
again yesterday or the day before to send an email explanation that we were getting ready to have a board meeting and we needed to be able to explain to our board what happened, and they've been silent.
They had met with this lady's board, and the stuff was still the same issue, so they were done with it, they're switching March first.
Did they give you materials of all the different, like reporting on the system that's available? Do you guys have that to like look through what the what different things you can pull?
Training manual.
Like a
Like
user
training-
manual?
Yeah.
I have not seen
And I still do not have a button where the clerks can go up and inquire an item and tell them how much is in the back. They have to actually log into the system where they have complete access to everything to find out what is in the back, other than going back and looking around for it. They have all that on the other system.
Yeah, we have, and I would assume that you could dive in and see like an individual item, like an activity report to see, okay, this tells me I have it in here, when did I get it, how many did I sell? Like, that's very basic stuff that is probably, I would be shocked.
Let
if
me
it's not in
show
that.
you
To be able to pull
I'm
up
gonna log
something that
into
got put back in your inventory and see why.
the
you'd probably be
website
able
and
to-
show it to you, because
But that's the thing, they can't tell why.
Do they give you like a user like any stuff to look at?
Everything was online, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, if I remember right.
Everything's on.
Can we get that sent out and I can peek through it?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now, but my computer's being, it's raining.
What is it, yeah.
My computer's being weird.
I would hope that the company would come down here and sit down and meet with us and try to resolve this issue.
Another thing that, okay, even if I had a freaking day off, if I'm out sick, it does not matter. I still have to log into that system to post sales. If I do not post sales, the inventory never comes out. When we do a mixed beverage order, that is, we have to make sure that when they place that order, that me or Nikki, the assistant manager, is there, because it's too complicated to even try to train anybody else, because it's a big deal if that's messed up. Okay, they pay for it and everything at the register, but if I do not go and log into that system and mark that as a sold, as paid for, it never comes out, that inventory never comes out. And it's just going on, and when they have a bottle tied to the sales, and then their sales are not right, my inventory is never gonna be right.
From what I hear, I feel like there's probably some operating procedures we need, like a lot of the things you're mentioning, I
It's not
don't know whether they're true or not.
Mhm.
We experience them, but it's user error. It's,
Mhm.
I entered this wrong code to put in, especially when you're punching in barcodes or punching in codes. So I'd really look at trying to standardize, like, this is what we do at the end of the day, every single day. Cause it's the same day for us, if we don't post our end of day.
But I don't know what your
Still
system is, but it's
yeah.
really hard for us to do it incorrectly.
Well, we probably need to really sit
What
down
I'm
and make
saying.
sure we're very aware of everything in the user manual. Are we doing everything?
Before we talk, we bring them in here, because they're gonna try to put it back on us, making errors.
That's what they keep
not
doing, and
knowing.
when I
But-
requested a user manual, they sent me this 11-page little thing, and they said a lot of is different now, because I don't even know how to explain it. It's like I can't really go in and correct anything. I have to go through them, and then I never know why they're correcting stuff. I've never dealt with a system like this ever. And this has been one reason why my freaking stress level has been off the freaking charts lately. If you could, I don't know how to explain it. I mean,
Are
if you
they
could do-
a legitimate
I want my inventory out of the stores that sell,
ABC,
period.
North Carolina ABC approved vendor? That's what I wanna know. So they
Yeah,
are.
which one? Downtown?
Downtown.
I don't know, cause
Okay.
like I said,
Wait, I thought they had to be.
yeah.
I thought you just said they had to be,
I hear you saying.
No, what I said was,
For what
We have to
purpose
have
do we,
this-
do we even wanna know that information? Are we gonna try and sue them for malpractice, or like, you know, it's.
No, I'm
it's
just
not-
curious, if the ABC Commission is limiting who we can use is why I'm asking.
all I was saying was we have to have specific software vendors that can do the reports and everything
Right.
else, the specific reports that are ABC specific, not just like Walmart or something like that. And this vendor, the new one is specific to ABC only. Dowcom is,
You know who Gramerton's using?
I found out.
Yeah, find out. I'm just,
But
if Wake County's using them, it'd have to be some legitimacy to them, but,
but they were
like you
just
say,
at the
let's
same
figure
time like
out
we
what-
were
yeah.
when we switched.
right, and have they switched over? So,
But,
but if we're having problems, I guarantee you, they're having problems
Sure.
too.
But the price they quoted us is a very good price that they're gonna reuse what we have, because we initially had to pay for that if we went with that company anyways. We already have the hardware. They're gonna upgrade what we have. And I will do more research into,
Yeah, I feel sad,
I'll
I
try
wanna
to,
find
I'll
out
call,
what else to say.
I'm gonna call Wake County again. I already know what Madison's doing, Chatham County's going to them.
Call a bunch of 'em. Just call a bunch of them, just,
Yeah.
and find out,
who,
just ask
find out
questions.
what they're leaving
Well,
and what they're going to.
And you need to talk to, you need to check some references. We also need to see a demo. So did you do a demo of this current software? Did you actually go to a store that was currently
Yeah.
using it and ask them to show you? So I think we need to do that too. We need to ideally run both systems simultaneously for a period of time. I mean, that's the industry best practice when it comes to
I don't know
software
how you
conversions.
would be able
You're
to
saying
run-
that's
you
not
can't-
possible?
That
So,
would
okay,
really-
that's not possible, but,
So
there's
this
other steps.
software, we got this software when we bought the new cash register, so
Okay.
the software came with the cash register, so it was like, you couldn't really have two
Mhm.
sets of cash registers up with two different softwares, so that would
Are
have
they-
been, so, and then this
You
new
got
software,
to pull the file
you
from,
switch, you're overriding whatever software is on the
Are they gonna be
computer.
converting data, I'm assuming?
I haven't
Okay.
been involved
So there's lots of
in
questions that I would
part.
ask, and, I can certainly be helpful to you to the extent that you want to meet about this, but I just think that it's important that we follow the industry best practice when it comes to software conversions to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success, because if we fail, then, it's just gonna be more stress for you.
We're
and I don't
going to
want
two
that.
stores, we definitely need to
yeah,
get it right
that's,
now.
well, that's one reason, like I said, that's, as far as dealing with what I've been dealing with Dowcom, and I have been, like I said, to Franklin several times to see theirs, and talking to the clerk still, talking to the manager, the assistant manager there actually does more than what I'm like, she's more involved. They have been extremely happy, their inventory's been back right, their sales reports are great. If one of them is sick, they do not specifically have to be there at the end of the month to run end of the month reports to have them accurate. They can go in 5 days later. It's there for them. I don't even know how it's completely easier. What did you do?
I'm trying to open
Check
a
for something out,
document on my computer.
But I will
My
definitely be
computer's
calling my stores and finding out, and I will talk to Wake County again. And when I had talked to Roseville at one point before I called Wake Forest again, they had told me it's been 6 months and they're still having issues, but they said that they're supposed to work themselves out. Well, it should have actually worked itself out in less than 2 months, if anything. And it's just getting, and then they can't tell you what's wrong.
if you'd schedule a meeting for them to come up here and sit down, I'll be happy to come attend the meeting and we'll talk to them and try to diagnose the problem. Talk a little bit about if there's a warranty, if there's been a breach of our contract, perhaps we could get out with some type of refund. I mean, I don't mind spending the time to get it right, but I think we ought to try to do that before we go out and buy new
Oh,
software.
definitely. Yeah.
And that's, they did do that with this board and it still wasn't right.
Who-
They just pretty much Dalcom themselves, the president and everything came down, just like the president's already come down and talked to me and said, well, y'all just need to be doing this and this. We do it. That's what I was trying to tell him, but he goes on, he acts as if,
Who reviewed the contract when we signed this contract?
There wasn't any.
There's no
No,
contract?
there's no contract thing. It's just
It's
the
an
annual
invoice.
Yeah, it's not actual contract.
But there's a support, there's a minimum level of service that's expected from a support perspective, right? I mean, there's no scope of service for that?
I haven't seen it.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And the Madison ABC said that they're not paying the annual fee and Dalcom's not gonna do anything about it.
Todd,
Yeah,
here's
how
your
the legal part
POS,
works.
if you wanna play, I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, now's the time. I mean, I don't mind spending some time on it. but
Or
I
you
think
could just,
looking,
you
I
can
mean,
click through
looking
there
at
and
different,
figure it out.
So just,
So these not live with? I mean, I'm glad to come over and spend some time with you and kind of click through here. I don't want to waste the entire board's time just clicking around.
well, this,
But I do think you could probably, like right here, without getting into it, I mean, it's looking like you could dig into an individual barcode and see, why it showed back up in your system, what happened there. So I think
You
there's
can-
probably if you have a specific, like, hey, this showed back up, I could probably help you dig into why.
What was you gonna say, Lori?
that's why, the inventory is tied to sales instead of being individual live inventory. I don't know how else to say it other than that. Just like when they went back to correct whatever the heck happened in December. Stuff we sold in December magically reappeared in January because it was tied to the sales and they messed with the numbers. So all that counting I did was a waste. Like this
So
is
then,
one
I
this
don't
is
think
128
we're
inventory. Whistle Pig, 15 year, we have 0. I pull it back up, 130, we have -1. How do we sell something we didn't even have? We know we didn't have that. It was sold out in December because there's only 3 bottles to the case.
Yeah, I mean, I would gladly come and play with this for a little bit and see if I
I-
can help you find anything. If you have specific, like, hey, we need to figure out why this showed up here, if you can figure out some specific things to look into, I could try to help you
Just like
get through here. I
128.
mean, they're all,
We have
those
eggnog.
systems are generally the same,
130, we magically got eggnog again.
just maybe different names of reports or where it's at or how it's laid out, but I think I
Jackie,
could
this-
probably help you.
This would be a good exercise to have that up on the screen when the guy comes in, and then, Laura would have specific examples like this one. And we just
Yeah.
ask the question, why,
No,
how,
show us.
how does
But
this
see, I already,
happen?
I called about the Whistle Pig and they said it because it was tied with the December sales.
Did they reset?
So, and they said they
This
fixed
is
it,
where I
but
was
they still
pulling
have
the
not
sales
fixed
numbers
it.
from. And this
I
is
should
where
be
it
able
was
to get my
duplicated in
inventory.
here. So I had to go to the actual cash register print off
Mhm.
that she does every night to figure out what the actual sales were and what actually went into the bank.
And do we know if there's a possibility that end of the day that night we accidentally did something wrong, or,
That's what I was kind of looking for, like,
Yeah.
did we double post something?
Mhm.
Can
They
we
did
double
go
post?
in and check all that and everything was ended out right. That's the whole,
So they
Crazy.
could, that was part of the reason why I wanted an explanation on why it happened.
Yeah.
So that I could figure out, like, because it was over weekend, so is there something to do with we're not closing the sales out on Friday and Saturday night and something is duplicating because of that, but then it skipped one cash register, so I don't, like, I can't,
We have to do that on that cash register, that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
yeah,
Are there-
I'm not saying.
And we probably, with a new system, need to have very drawn-out basic instructions, step by step of, here's what you do at the end of the day, here's how you process this, that.
and then Monday, the Monday, one day I could not, the sales would not post. So that means I called them and they eventually got that posted. Lost my train of thought, 'cause there's just so much stuff going on with them.
Well, I would say this, let's get them in here. That'd be the first thing. And let them explain to us
On there.
what's going on. Obviously, I feel like you say, if there's something there that they have not told us to do, and we're not doing the right thing, and nothing against anybody, any of the staff, we're doing what we thought we were supposed to, then that may be the problem there. But, let's find out
But
so that we can
yeah.
make sure before we go jump into something new.
They're
We may
gonna
have the
come
same
in and
problem.
they're gonna tell you the same crap they've been telling me. for
Well,
decades.
let's let them do that.
Let's let them do it to us, is what we're saying, and let them tell us that, as opposed to telling you and Jackie about it. Let's let them tell us in this board. It's a whole lot easier to tell somebody you're wrong when you're on the phone or an email than it is to look them in the
Well,
eyes
they
and tell
have
them
come
they're wrong.
down already.
I know,
This is what I'm
but-
saying, but.
Let's let them deal with
Yeah.
this board.
Let them face us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they have pretty much all the things you need for inventory management, and to look into. I mean, they have plenty of reporting. I'm shocked that they don't have a, handbook of here's how
That's
the
what I was
reports
looking at
do, here's
here,
how they
yeah.
are.
You would think
But
it
the
would
biggest
have.
thing, I'd be willing, if y'all have to take it out of my check, I want live inventory for that.
Well,
That's how bad this is.
I think
am
live
not-
inventory is
It
important
looks
to
like
have,
it's.
but have they
showing
got
it.
it something set
Well,
there?
that's if they're entering account, I believe. So that's if you have account currently open at your account, would be what that is. If you're
Okay.
submitting an inventory count. I mean, when you go back to, reports, I believe, and maybe it was functions, there was a inventory over short report, so that should be, that wouldn't be there unless it's, so you're saying you have to count inventory every single day for it to know you have?
I've been counting it every morning
See,
because
we're
it
just-
keeps being,
Once this report
Go
is
to
removed to
completed
the
inventory
inventory
right there.
tab, you'll find it under.
that's just some of the variances. I've never had anything like that ever.
Variance count 21.
I've never had
21
anything
balls
like,
variance,
and that's
that's
how
a
bad it
huge
is every
difference.
time. And that's just the stuff I've done with the scanner. That's not stuff I've gone in and manually done.
So you're physically counting every bottle every day?
No, I start with my full item list, and until the store opens, that's what I do. I count inventory every day till I get to the end of it. This is every day till the store opens. Till I get to the end of it, then I start right back over again because I've been trying to pinpoint what is going on. And I get codes that appear that I've never even had. I get codes appear that I've never had with inventory. And this is a very stressful one to
Well, I can see what would be, very
Yeah.
aggravating.
I could probably come by and just play around with it one day next week if you think that may help. Just kinda
Why don't we
see.
start there, if you don't mind doing that?
Yeah, I don't,
And
I mean,
then-
I don't know exactly what you wanna do. I mean,
Well,
Well, I
we
might
just
be able to
had-
look around and at least give you some
I got
some
this-
ideas
I got
of
that
why
right
this
here.
is happening.
I got that right here showing this is 128, this is 130, this is just the first 3 pages of how all my Christmas stuff and other stuff jump back on my
So
inventory.
the biggest thing I would wanna find is if we type in a code up in that top original box, top right.
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
you can
box.
type up
So what- so give her-
00124 is one code you can type right in. That's
Is that gonna give you? So I would look for if there's this is where all that stuff would be fixed. So if you see something where the case count's wrong,
Retract.
okay, that's right, but that's where I was correcting all of that, but then they have something else that they swear they don't have that was different. And that one, it was Rip Van Winkle was the specific one that I saw where they had it as listed as half gallons and 6 to a case. On my end, it's right, right that's a fifth, and there's only 3 to the case. That's right. But on whatever they had, it was different, and they're
Well,
telling
here's
Oh,
where-
can
here's-
you
here's
delete
the-
the barcodes?
I have done that. I have deleted barcodes, and it's
Okay.
still.
It's broken.
Cause this looks
Like-
like, and I don't know what that's true for that
I
product,
got
this is saying
that.
that's,
Got the cheap
one
version.
product has 3 different barcodes.
But there's some of them with 10 different barcodes. They've done barcodes, whatever barcode that particular item has had for, since
If they
ABC
pulled
Commission
up all the
started doing
commission
barcodes.
So I'm wondering if some of that
That's where some of the
information's
problems
wrong,
coming from.
and you might be able to, when you see something that you haven't carried in a while, plug that barcode in up there, and it will tell you where that's, why that's coming up
So
under
if
that.
you delete it here, does it delete it on the cash register?
No, that's what I'm trying to show one other, that, what I'm talking about with that, where'd it go, 200?
You have to refresh
So if they're
what's on
pulling,
the
if they're
cash
pulling
register?
those barcodes from our supplier for the entire state, you delete it here, every time they pull those barcodes, if they're updating them, it's gonna add it back
And I
every
can't
time.
delete the code completely, then you can't run reports. That was another issue that we all have, but like for Woodford Reserve, okay, the Christmas number is 281, okay? We have to manually put a code covering up the UPC code because when it scans, it is, even though I have tried to see all the codes are gone, it'll still bring up under the Christmas code. So then it's throwing that inventory back, so I have to go back and correct that, and then go back and correct it under its regular code, which is 27127.
Looks like it would only recognize the barcodes of the inventory you place in the
In the
store.
inventory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And who creates this database, them?
them.
So that seems like probably what the issue is. And I would wonder where they're getting that information from, how often they're updating it.
I've even asked them to completely just delete everything, let me manually go in, add in our codes only, and let us work through the UPC codes to see if that had helped them, but that supposedly that'll mess up everything and all this other stuff,
You can
so.
go online to the website and you can see the inventory, list that the warehouse
ABC
has
website.
for every single liquor in the warehouse. That's probably.
I wonder where
Yeah, but
they're,
that's not
like,
years
how often
worth,
they're getting that.
that's current stuff, that's not the years, ever since they invented UPC codes.
Cause this looks like a manual process, so when we have a vendor, they have to submit their pricing to us. It's in a file that goes right in, so I'm wondering if they do this all manual entry, or like how all this data comes into their system.
To pull up January 31st hourly sales, and it still won't show. I tried to, whatever she attached on the agenda.
Which, no offense, but I don't trust those hourly.
Well, yeah, I don't either, but I was trying to get that information for, Emily. There you go, now click, go down, it's still in there. But the day after, the day before is,
And we're sure we did check out the right way that night?
we're 100% sure. I mean, the
I think so.
registers won't even
Yeah, I know
close
that
out
because they
if you
have
don't
an
do
issue
it
with
right.
cash denial.
And we're
And
sure
it
that
prints out all the
January 31st
reports.
sales aren't in February 1st sales?
Yes.
Why does it keep switching back to this?
It's your check.
I thought I did. There's a,
February 7th.
there's a, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Does that look like a normal day of sales?
It's like they've overcomplicated it. I don't know how to explain it.
So it shows in here on the daily where they manually input it, but it doesn't show on the hourly, cause they just did an override, is that what you're saying?
I don't
And
know what
they have not answered that question still. And that's the same
When you
problem
go
that
in and
everybody else
look-
has had. They will not.
The daily sales and the sales and tender report are the reports that I was using to enter the sales, and those are the ones that were showing duplicates. And I pulled the monthly, cause there's a monthly sales report, so I pulled that because I was like, oh, I can compare this to what's in QuickBooks to confirm that I have everything, and then that was that was kind of, so I don't know.
And that's the one where they told her, well, you can't be you need to tell her she can't be looking there because that's for our ones that use iPads.
I should be
shouldn't
able to look
matter.
at every
You
report.
should be able to look at every report possible.
We do have some reports that are formatted, I mean, it's just the way they read, and it's,
But the
by the
numbers should-
column, well, the columns might line up differently on a, you know, we have some that are for iPads that where if you pull it on a desktop, it's not gonna align correctly. So the data is still the same, but the alignment is off, so you can't, it is not where you could read it. That makes sense.
But the data's there. That's the main thing.
Just in the wrong spot, they
Right.
look at it on the wrong device, so that is a thing. But I'd gladly come in and pop around and see if there's anything that I can help you with, but,
Let's do
Well,
that,
I mean,
and then.
I just don't know.
But I don't think
I
it would-
appreciate it, but I just don't know what.
But you're
he could
comparing-
possibly
well,
do.
yeah, I think it would be helpful to be able to
A
guide our
different eye.
conversation
Yeah.
with them, so we can say this
Yeah.
is what we're seeing, and, I mean, eventually we should be familiar in that store with every single
So
piece of information in this,
you're
in here.
comparing their
And I think-
system
I
and
know,
our
I'm
system.
comparing it to what we had before that
Right.
we did not do this crap.
Well, what he's
At
gonna,
all.
what he's trying
I
to
wish I
say
never
is,
left them.
he can look around and compare it based on what they use at Sheets, so that when we talk to him, he's got a better understanding when we're talking to him. He understands our system better
I don't know what
to,
that
when we
just
communicate with them. We do need to
I know.
communicate with them.
And you know, what really truly might not be a bad idea is, I mean, somebody on this board, at least one or two of us, actually be there with her or Nikki or whatever, and just go through a daily process of how she does her orders, how the inventory is posted, just so we have some familiarity of what she's going through, you know.
It helps the
and-
discussion.
Right, and then as we move forward, if we need to grow because 2 stores or we're gonna change or whatever, then there are some of us who are, you could consider subject matter experts because we've been down there with her and we've seen that and maybe can help communicate it.
Sounds good.
We need to make a motion.
Yes, we need to make a motion.
Make a
What-
motion that we, ask the POS vendor to come in and meet with, Jackie and, Lori and 1 or 2 board members.
And in the meantime, do our due diligence on this end. You know, with, yeah, is what we suggested here so far. Okay.
Hopefully we'll get a resolution.
Right, we got a motion on the table. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, let's move forward then.
You know, a new eye, if they would pick up something that you guys have,
And I think I can be able to say,
Yeah.
well, we need this report in, you know, and I don't know how big the company is, and, you know, like what Phil said, I mean, there should be some support
Yeah.
with part of buying, you know, even in the invoice, there should be some support agreement. So, all things we'd probably need to look at and be prepared to comment.
All right, let's move on. Reports and other business. First me, I don't have anything at this point, so I'm gonna pass on. Start over here, Rick.
Yeah, actually, some news on my personal life. I'm getting relocated to Richmond, Virginia this summer. So I'm glad to serve as long as I can here. Probably be moving in May or June. However you guys wanna go through the replacement process, if it's sooner than that,
Kick back to the town board.
I'm okay with that. I can definitely serve through April, May probably, but, you know, if you wanna just take care of it sooner, I completely understand that. I've
You're
enjoyed
jumping
it.
ship on us, huh?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot. It was a bittersweet thing, but, I got a good job opportunity with the same company, so.
Well, we appreciate you doing it and coming
Yeah,
forward
so
with
I'm
us.
glad to do whatever I can while I'm still here, but, kind of
Let's
leave that
work
up to you
him,
guys.
let's work him until then.
It's draining down.
That's what we
We got
need,
what you
Todd.
have, I mean,
All right,
congratulations.
yeah, congratulations.
You're welcome, thank you.
Dan, got anything more?
Yes, and I meant to bring the shirt and I didn't, but I would like to discuss, professionalism as far as uniforms and name tags, for our store. I actually have an example of a shirt and a vendor that we use and stuff, but I think that we need name tags and nice ones at that, not the little plastic things where you punch somebody's name and peel the back and slide it on. stick to it. But we need to look at, making our store a little bit more presentable in that, and that we have, you know, if we're gonna do jeans, then jeans are fine, no holy jeans and stuff, or if we're gonna do a khaki shirt, pants, or whatever. And I know we need to be flexible because, you know, they're lifting, they're putting up inventory and that type of thing. But I would like for us to consider name tags and uniform shirts. I'm thinking if they're part-time people, you know, we could maybe supply them with one shirt or whatever, and then after that, you know, for full-time people, you know, couple of shirts, and then maybe each year, you know, just add an additional one to it. But we do need to, if we're going to do this, and especially moving to the new store as well, we need to make sure that if we're going to add to our customer service by having that uniform.
It's image. You're talking just image. I mean, let's say, for example, we do the eyes. I don't have one on today, but you know, my little reindeer.
Yeah.
But you know, and people go to where they look forward to seeing that when they go. And I mean, it's not something that's fancy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more casual, but it's still. All right, you work here. Let me ask you a question.
I look for a red shirt and Target.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's the same thing. I mean, and that sort of thing. And I think the town does it on.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, so this is an older one, it didn't have our new branding on it, but this is a nice metal name tag. It's got the magnetic backing, so you don't put
Yes.
holes in the shirt. So,
Exactly.
you know, these are like $8 each. I designed it. I am happy to use that logo and bring you a proof next time. You can give me your feedback. So that's inexpensive, and the town actually recently, with its new branding, like this is a jacket, but you can see it's nice embroidered, but they make shirts, like we just got some for the town employees, and they were really inexpensive. Like this was $50 delivered with the embroidery, and the shirts were like $20 a piece, embroidered, delivered. So if you want, I can mock up some samples for those too, and
There was a
bring
nice
those next
selection
time.
of polos that were, not just
And I
the
can talk to
dressier
you
ones,
about,
but
you know,
for
the different
like
shirts, styles and
wicking
stuff.
away the sweat and stuff like that. So doing the inventory and the stocking and the cleaning, there are some that would be like polo shirts, good options for that
Yeah,
as well.
and that's the kind of thing.
Yeah, and
I
that's
think.
what I was looking, speaking about. We have some that, and I don't know what the material is if you're using and stuff, but they're very breathable.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, I wish I had brought it. I apologize. I ran out of the house this morning, but I've had this shirt for 6 years, and I'm telling you, you would not know that it's 6 years old. I mean, you throw it in the washer, you don't even have to dry it. You can just hang it up on the thing, or you can dry it either one. But it really lasts, and you know, it's you buy it extra big, you know, or but it is loose for them people who are.
Yeah, and the ones that we got are similar. They're like Under Armour style. Not Under Armour brand because that's like super expensive.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
you know,
No.
the Chinese version of that.
It's the wicking
Yeah.
material. That,
Yeah.
You know, that sort of
Korean.
thing.
Yeah.
You had a comment?
Oh, I had let my employees know the idea and everything. You know, the shirts are fine or whatever, as long as they're, cause it gets so hot and everything in there. The issue is with name tags. If possible, we would all prefer they just say Youngsville ABC instead of our names for social media reasons.
If it's just the first name, I don't see a problem.
Well, we already have one customer that is stalking one of our other customers at her other job, and because her name is so unique, you found her on Facebook. Now she's blocked him, but it's an issue. And then somebody, let's say something never happened, but somebody tries to say, well, such and such says such and such to me, then your name, you know, they're gonna know who you are, where you work. Like okay, Youngsville ABC, Lori, she told me such and such. Lori never said that. But it's out there on social media, you know what I mean? Instead of just saying, an employee at the Youngsville ABC store, or taking a picture of the Youngsville ABC only, you know what I'm saying?
I think it helps to have
Franklinton
some
has-
accountability to it. I mean, from a standpoint, I mean, I would hope with any of your employees, if I came in and I had an issue with an employee and I said, what's your name, I want to talk to your manager, I hope they would tell me.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
no, that's,
so
they
I don't
tell
think
you
there's
that,
any
but it's
difference
just
in wearing
like,
the name tag, especially
I'm
on a
just
first
saying,
name
that
basis.
I'm reporting what they were saying.
And I would
yeah,
do
they're
that
having issues
through,
with.
you know, I would handle the stalking through the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
probably
I mean,
a
it's all
pretty
public
minimal-
record anyway. Like your age, your salary, your last position, when you were hired, all that's public information. Anybody
Well,
can just walk up to you and
what
ask
they
you
were
for it,
talking
you have
about
to
is
tell
somebody trashing them for something that never happened.
But they can do that at Target. And Target
Again, I agree with him, it's a police
Okay.
issue. Where if someone's doing that, you report to the police
Yeah.
and, I mean,
Having your name on your.
That was just,
If they
I
can't
said I
handle it,
would
then they
bring it
probably
up,
shouldn't
yes,
be
but I
And if they're
didn't, so.
uncomfortable with putting their real name, you know,
And it's only
potentially
first name, yeah.
a reasonable nickname that's not, you know,
Now, they were fine with nicknames
Jimbo
or
or something,
our
but
clerk,
it's,
or
you
our
know,
clerk number, we all have a different clerk number.
I have a manager, her name's Maria, but she goes by Kat instead of Catherine, so her name tag says Kat, I mean, that.
They would, I had suggested access to something, Danny, and they said that they would take nicknames or their clerk number if possible, so.
And I don't know what your vendor is, another thing that we do for our truck drivers, and it's helpful is not everybody's same shape, same size, same cut.
Right.
So we give them an allowance and here's a, you know, I don't know if they would do, here's 4 different options that you can pick from.
that's what we did for the town employees. We basically said this is like your target spend, and then you
Yeah.
can just go on the website and choose whatever SKU you want, you know, whether
And
it's.
with so
Yeah.
few employees, it might be able
Color.
to.
I know we
you know.
do Land's End shirts,
Mhm.
and he gives us catalog, he says, just circle the one you want,
Yeah.
and send it to me,
We can do that.
and I order how many you want. That's how it does, so.
Well, the thing also with name is that, because I worked in the industry for a long time, if I see a name on somebody, I use it. I speak to them with their name. I say, thank you, when
Have you,
yeah.
I
And
do the same thing, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's, here's the other thing with that. I mean, it is accountability.
Yes,
Because, like right now, you know, if we've got customer service issues with somebody not helping us, not greeting us or whatever, we can just say, oh, well, the girl who was working up front, or the girl that looks like this and stuff. If a customer wants to call and say, you know, hey, Lori, you know, I was just in your store, but,
and Pam didn't take care of me.
you know, and this is the way that this lady, Pam, or whomever it
Yeah.
is, you know, talk to me and stuff. And, you're
That's
happy.
fine, I would
Yeah.
just said I would report, and they said if they could use nicknames or something else, that would be great, but, you know, if they
and on the
all.
flip, and on the flip side, when somebody comes in and has good service, Lori was really great,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, and they can say Penelope was really great, I mean, it's, you know.
Flow.
Well, the problem
But-
with nicknames is if it's like, you have to be kind of careful too, you can't, you know, you can get.
we're not gonna do Stumpy or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It
Oh,
can
no,
be a
I mean,
shorter
like, if it's a
version.
girl, you have a
Yeah, we
girl,
can
like,
get kind of hanky
you know.
with.
Or middleman, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to approve the store manager,
Yeah.
has to approve anything that's not their name,
If
given name.
you can get us some information and everything for next meeting, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll mock up a design and I can bring you
Okay.
something to throw up there and you can take a look at it and we can agree on if you want, you know, we can agree on maybe like a handful of different shirts, you know.
And we,
can choose
what we
from.
do is colors. Obviously, you wanna use as much of blues and grays, you know, that we're talking about.
Well, yeah, you wanna use that, right?
Yeah, and use that, and that kind of scheme kind of stands out.
It would probably
Like
make
the
like
red
that
target.
version and then the one that was white and then you could use it on a dark shirt or a light shirt and
I
that
would
people have
recommend the
choice.
dark shirt with all the stocking
Yeah,
and.
that's what I was gonna say.
it's
Whatever
gonna get
hides
really-
dirt the most.
What's going
you
on,
know,
yeah,
let's go
hide
box
the
it.
dirt,
So,
yeah.
My hometown, I had no idea how they found me.
You have anything else for us?
No, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
So if they wanna find you, they can find
You
you.
have anything for us?
No, I don't.
All right, go on to finance officer.
I do have something actually. I am leaving the town as the finance officer, but currently staying on as your finance officer.
Well, why'd you even bring that up?
Because I wanted you to know.
Cause she wanted to give y'all a heart attack like she did
Okay.
me the other
What are you
day.
doing? What are you doing?
Well, the town is sorry for the loss,
Yes.
but we're happy you're staying.
Yeah, we did keep you.
I decided to take a more permanent, it's not like full time, but work with one company as an employee actually. I'm gonna keep my business and still have my tax business and some of my smaller clients, but I'm getting rid of the larger ones.
She doesn't like us, it's okay.
Okay, yeah.
No, she likes us. She just doesn't like the
I
pay.
noticed he's not looking at you today, you know? that's
He's
what-
alright, he's known for a
And he had
few
to
weeks.
give you a pass to get into the system. I saw that.
He's known for a few weeks. We've got my replacement working.
She's really
She's
nice.
actually in there
Great,
working right
so-
now. So, yeah. But
Well,
I'll
we're glad
still
you're staying.
be here with you guys.
Best of luck and
So we'll see you once a month at least. We'll still be at the meeting with her.
we'll get
And my
that.
email address, we're keeping my email address.
Okay.
So that will still work. Probably a lot of my communication will be, through email, early morning, late afternoon, but I'm still committed to getting them out to them.
Okay.
Your checks will be ready on Tuesday? Yes, on Tuesday.
Thank you. Lori, you got anything for us? Excuse me, Hope?
Who's Hope?
I like you better if you call me Lori.
Lori, you know I talk to Lori always, so, hey, you.
I let Jackie slide, cause
Well,
She's
because
awesome.
like I called her Lori for a long time, and then people were calling her Hope, and I'm like, maybe
that's
I'll
just
call her-
Emily, you just don't pay her no mind.
Yeah,
I said,
I have to admit, I asked Brenda way back, I said, Lori or Hope, which is it? Do you have anything for us?
No.
Okay, all right. Now move on to clerk.
I have nothing today.
Bill, you got anything for us?
No, sir.
All right, in that case, we're gonna go into closed session, so I request a motion to go to closed session.
I make a motion to go to closed session.
All right, any second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you. And move into our regular session, and since there's no additional business, motion made to adjourn, is there a second? Second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's get out of here.